Hello, my name is Travis Hansen. I was born and currently reside in the San Gabriel Valley of the greater Los Angeles area in California. I suffer from depression. Since my official diagnosis in 2002, I have been through many treatments and taken many medications, all of which seem to have failed in the long run at really suppressing the symptoms and the problems. I am a reasonably motivated individual, and so I took it upon myself, because the medical community could no longer provide any further assistance, to come up with a solution for myself that lasted a bit longer than a few months. I think in my search that I have come across the solution, and it is the solution, I believe, for more than just me, for a great many people. I believe I have come across probably the most complete explanation of what depression is and how to treat it that exists anywhere. First off, a disclaimer, then we'll get to the juicy bits. I am not a professional scientist. I never went to college for biology. I don't hold any degrees in any of the fields that I am about to talk to you about. However, I have studied the subject for at least 7 years, and I believe that I have applied a reasonable amount of scientific rigor to the topic. There is a lot of science supporting this, but it is a theory. It is simply a theory. I cannot afford to run a real study to find out whether or not my hypothesis is true. I simply was able to test upon myself and a limited number of others, which were not double-blind. They are simply just people who want to be better, and so I tried to help them. I would love to run a real study, but I simply can't afford it. Now to the nitty-gritty, the core of the theory. About a year ago, I came across a paper written by Dr. Bruce G. Charlton of the University of Newcastle upon Tyne in England. He wrote a paper called The Malaise Theory of Depression. And in this paper, he states that depression, major depressive disorder, is something called sickness behavior. Sickness behavior is a state of being that all mammals can enter into. Essentially, it is being sick without being sick. When I'm speaking to people about this theory, I often ask them a simple question of, what are the symptoms of the flu? Name the basic symptoms of the flu. And people usually nail out the pretty common answers of fever, headache, nausea, fatigue, achy joints, a general just sort of icky feeling, and usually pretty poor sleep during the week or so that you have the flu. These are all symptoms of sickness behavior. Most of the things that I just listed, if not all of them, are your body's way of fighting the disease. They're not actually caused by the virus, the flu itself. They're tools that your body uses in order to fight off the disease. Fever basically just makes an inhospitable environment for the virus that likes a much happier 98.6. So if you pop it up to 100 and something, then it doesn't survive that well. Nausea, so that you could probably eject the virus from your stomach if it is in your stomach. The general achy feeling is your body is inflamed. Your body is in full war mode against the foreign invader. Achy joints is also your joints are inflamed, and by inflamed I mean that your body is probably literally attacking the cartilage and the bits of your joints. Because when it comes down to fighting a disease, it's better that you live with some discomfort than it is you die comfortably. So your body takes a shoot first and ask questions later sort of attitude. Now, most of the things that I just described have a corollary to the physical effects of depression. Most people describe depression outside of the emotional effects as a general feeling of ickiness. Oftentimes people describe achy joints. you're tired, your metabolism is off. There's a list of other things. You sleep poorly. You have something called hypersomnia, which basically means you sleep too much. Most of the people that I talk to that have depression either sleep too much or sleep too little, which is essentially the same thing, which I will describe later on in the rest of the video. These are all the physical symptoms of depression. And when doctors are trying to decide whether or not someone is emotionally depressed or actually clinically depressed and need medical treatment, they usually go by the physical effects and the length of time that the effects have set in. Dr. Charlton's theory was essentially that major depressive disorder is a side effect, or the emotional problems are side effects of sickness behavior in humans. Essentially, your body has a trigger-happy immune system and often goes into the state of war without actually needing to go to war, and often for long periods of time. The part of the theory that I added to and that I've been testing recently is that cytokines are directly regulated by the levels of vitamin D in your bloodstream. And this is a proven thing. Whether or not it has an effect on sickness behavior directly and therefore depression remains to be seen. But cytokine production is definitely directly regulated by vitamin D. The major source for vitamin D is the sun for 95% of the world's population. And so he stated that there is an evolutionary advantage to having a trigger-happy immune system in order to fight off infectious diseases and to go into sort of a hibernating mode in order to preserve energy or something in trying times. And my part of the theory, which has to do with the vitamin D, states that this evolutionary advantage is explicitly designed to be triggered in the winter months. No part of the vitamin D that is in your bloodstream that is measured by the cytokines goes into the production of the cytokines. It is simply a measurement. It's not an ingredient. Therefore, the conclusion was that your body is actually actively looking for the amount of UV sun that you're getting from the outside world. Why does your body need to know what kind of UV you're getting? Well, for most of human history, especially in northern climates where depression is more prevalent, UV is the single most effective measure of whether or not someone is in the winter months. And so why do you need to know if someone is in the winter months? Because that is the time that generally humans are more densely packed, less active, consuming probably less than fresh food, and not generally getting out, and it's the time when disease runs the most rampant. So your body has a definite interest in knowing when to set your immune system on high alert, and winter is that time.